Hey now. Hey Exact Photography. Hey Tony, D Love, Memory Lane. Hey everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming. Hey now. Thanks for inviting. Hey Sean, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, my friend? Hey Tara. Hey Jill Loves Johnny. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Hey. Follow Sean Hudspeth, fantastic artist and a great guy. Hey TL Manis. Hey everybody. Okay, so my name is Doug Cohen. Hi Haley. Thought I would pop on before I head to this military homecoming. Sweet. Hey Photography by Mata. Hey Jeff. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today real quickly. Usually Steel Doug's idea is on Mondays at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Hey, Freddie Ferret. And my name is Doug Cohen, and I'm here at FrameableFaces Photography. Hey, Mr. Chuck, with my wife, Allie. She's in the back, actually, on a phone call. Hey, now. And we are a small mom-and-pop shop here in West Bloomfield, Michigan. Hi, Artsy Chick. Metro Detroit. We are in a mall. We are a small business, brick and mortar. And so when I come on here and I do Steel Doug's idea, I usually talk about something that small businesses can use, things that I've actually done and, tested and used for my studio on social media, on my blog. And if I do something that I think works or I have something that I want to share, I come on and I save it up and I do them for Steel Doug's idea on Mondays. And I try to make those shows as generally applicable for as many different types of businesses and brands as possible. Well, this one is more of a tightly focused topic, and I already have one lined up for next Monday, so I just wanted to jump on and share this about blogging and about 6 reasons that I believe you should date your blog posts. And this is my opinion. So who on here has a blog? Who is a consistent blogger? Who blogs in the room? Just give a thumbs up if you blog. And I want to make it very clear on a couple of things here. You're a terrible blogger. Okay, Tara, that's okay. You have a blog, though. You just need to get more consistent about it. If that's the case. A few years ago, I made up my mind you have a blog, but I totally don't stay up to date on it. Yeah. See, and that's a challenge, right? I made a decision a few years ago to really buckle down and take care of my blog, our blog, and be consistent and very deliberate about it. And I've been consistent about it ever since. I've never stopped. I blog every week, at least once, sometimes 2-3 times a week. And so I have some strong opinions about blogging. Hi, Danny Bella. Now, I want to make it clear that while I have some strong opinions about blogging and I'm proud of my blog and I think I do a pretty good job with it, I don't claim to be a blog expert. Hey, Kate. I don't claim to be a blog expert. So if somebody sat down and said, listen, I want to start a blog, what's the best way to go about it? How should I set it up? What should I do? I don't know that I'd be the guy to tell you. I mean, I know a thing or two, and I know that I believe that self-hosted is the better way to go so that it's owned media. You want to own something on the web and use Facebook and Periscope and all these other things to drive traffic to your owned media, your website, your blog. And that's kind of a whole nother discussion. But today, specifically about blogging, just a tip that I believe is important is I think it's important to date your blog posts. And let's be very clear about the fact that there is not a consensus opinion on this. Not everybody agrees with this. Not everybody believes that you should date your blog posts. And I want to show you to my point. I brought up an article by a gentleman who I don't know. I just did a Google search on this. The guy's name is Joe Sieber. Hey, Leona. Sorry, I'm shaking. Hang on a second. The name of this blog post that I found, and like I said, I don't know Joe. I don't mean to pick on him. I just wanted to show an example of the counterpoint. Okay, and this is an article online that I Googled and found why you should consider removing your dates on your blog. It can seriously hurt your website, right? Yeah, twice in one day. I know, right, Leona? So there are people that believe really strongly that you should not date your blog posts. This guy in particular says it can actually seriously hurt your website by having dates on your blog. And I'm going to tell you the reasons he says, and then I'm going to go into why I disagree with him. Okay? So You agree with who? With me, Leona? You agree that you should date them or that you shouldn't? It's okay if people in this room disagree with me because, like I said, there's no consensus. I'm just going to lay out why I believe you should date them, okay? And he goes into a lot of detail here. Oh, you say don't date. Okay, that's okay, Leona. I'm going to give you my reasoning why I think you should date. And we can agree to disagree. I'm fully aware that I'm not, that I'm not necessarily, this is not the consensus opinion, but like this person, Joe, says, you might want to remove dates from your blog because people are not going to prejudge your website due to blog activity. Okay. He says, if your advice is timeless, then your information does not go out of date, and you should leave stuff on there to be evergreen so that people won't shy away from it because it's a few years old. Unless you blog all the time, then date. And that's kind of what, Leona, that's kind of what Joe's point is here. Unless you blog all the time, then... Wait, no, wait. He's saying the opposite. Wait, you're saying... I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. He's saying that the information doesn't go out of date and that you shouldn't date it. And his point is he doesn't blog a lot, and that's why he doesn't want to date it, because he's not always that frequent or that updated. That's okay, Leona. No, that's okay. He says information doesn't go out of date, and he doesn't want people to shy away from a blog post because it's old if it's timeless. That's his point there. And then the third thing is it takes less pressure. It puts less pressure on you as a blogger by allowing you to produce quality content when you have something to post. That's okay, Leona. Okay? So that's why he believes that you shouldn't date. Okay? Here are the 6 reasons I believe you should date your blog posts. Okay? And some of these are going to sound a little harsh, okay? But this is it. Listen, I'm an opinionated guy, and like I said, I'm totally willing to debate this, and I'm totally willing for somebody to show me the other side and prove me wrong. But I believe if you want your post to be evergreen and timeless, then make it good. If it's good quality, it's going to be timeless. A kick-ass blog post will stick around for a while. People will continue to read it. I did a blog post a couple years ago about 9 things to tell your children about photography. And it still gets clicks. It still gets read. I think it's like 3 years old already now. 3 years later, people are still reading it. And it's got the date on it. And I think when you see it, 9 things to tell your kids about photography, well, that doesn't seem like a dated topic. That's a topic that anybody... Yeah, thanks, Tara. Yeah, everything's on it's all on FrameableFaces.com. But, I think that when you look at that, and if that's a topic that you're searching for, if it comes up in a Google search and people are sharing it and it comes up in, it's good SEO because people are reading it, it's got traffic. If it comes up relatively high in your search results, that probably means it's a pretty good post. And if it's really good, it will stay out there for a while if it's relevant and timeless. You don't need to fool somebody by leaving the date off of it. That's kind of where I'm coming from, and that leads to my second point is you're not fooling anybody by hiding the date. Because for the most part, I get to a lot of blog posts where I'm like, well, I wonder when they wrote this, and then I go down and I see the comments, and the comments are from 2 years old. Thanks for inviting. So the blog post itself isn't dated, but the comments are old. And I'm like, but this is a good post. Why? I would have liked to have known when they wrote it. I shouldn't have to scroll down, look through the comments, and find out, when it was written. Why? You're not fooling anyone. You can usually figure out when it was written if you want to know anyway, even if you don't put the date on there. And I think when you have an undated blog post with old comments and there's no new comments, to me that's kind of a turnoff. I feel like the author is deliberately trying to hide the date, but he's been exposed because the comments are old. It just looks a little weird to me. I just don't love that. I don't love an undated blog post and I'm trying to figure out, I wonder when they wrote this and all the comments are 2 years old. You kind of gave up blogging. Don't give up blogging, Leona. Personally, I never notice dates on a site. If the info is good, it's good. Absolutely. That's kind of my point. If you want something to be timeless and you want it to stay evergreen, then make it absolutely undeniable content. You're not going to force it to be evergreen by hiding the date. You're not going to fool people. People will want to know if you don't put it on there. Next point. Hey, Nicholas, thanks for joining. I look for dates all the time. I want to see if they're still active. Yes, Tara, that's a very good point. And I think, to your point, Tara, if you're trying to build a following, give your readership context. Give them confidence. Give them transparency. Make sure that they know you're not afraid to put a date on it, that you're confident in what you're saying. I think it's a confidence thing to put a date on it. You have to go, that's okay, Leona. Thanks for dropping by. Thank you. I think you want to give them confidence by dating it. I think you want to give them transparency so it doesn't look like you're trying to hide it and force something to be evergreen. And I think context is really important. I think context is important. I think when people read a certain topic, let them decide if they need something brand new or if they need something that's been floating around, if it still seems relevant based on your title, based on your headers, all those other things. I think context can help color a topic a little bit more completely, if that makes sense. Knowing what the context time-wise in which a blog post was written, I think helps you kind of really understand where the author was coming from, what was going on at that time. If there have been changes since then to the topic, you'll be aware of them. I just think the context helps the article. I think knowing when it was written helps give it context and confidence and transparency. Next point, number 4. Here's an important one for me. Having no dates on your blog posts can make it next to impossible for people to curate your posts. Hey, Leyland Sawyer, thanks for coming. Finally got to one of your scopes last night. It was great. I like your energy. Having no dates. Good morning, everyone from LA. No, it's okay that you're late. I'll do a recap, Leyland. Don't worry. But I think having no dates, you're welcome. Having no dates on a blog post can make it next to impossible for people to curate your posts. And here's kind of one of my examples on that, okay? I curate content for the mall that my store is in, that our studio is in, okay? I do the community management for the mall. So there's a lot of brands. Hey, Christy, there's a lot of stores and a lot of brands in the mall that I try to grab stuff for to post on the mall page. And I do something every Thursday where I do a blog roundup of all the, hi, Christy, of all the stores in the mall that have blogs. I do a roundup of the best posts, and I post those on Thursday, like a little blog roll. Hey, Shannon. And I'm going to pick on one of the stores in here that I'm a fan of. It's Top Driver. Top Driver is a driver's training school. They're literally our next door neighbors, and they have some great blog content, but it's not arranged in a linear fashion, and none of it's dated. And for me, it's next to impossible for me to keep, I don't want to have to keep track of whether or not I grabbed one of the blog posts from Top Driver for one of my Thursday blog roundups. I don't want to keep track of whether or not I grabbed it. I want to go to Top Driver. I want to see what their latest blog post is. And not because I care about it being dated or not being dated. It's just that I'm relatively frequently curating content from their page. And I can't keep track of when, because it's all just kind of jumbled there. And it's not dated and it's not in order. And I can't keep track of whether I already posted something or not. And it's frustrating to me. I wish they just posted them in order. The newest ones come up first. I just wish they were dated, and I wish it would help me keep track as a curator. And so I think when you date things, let the curator make the decision on whether or not it's quality. But give them some context. Once again, it makes it hard on people to curate your blog posts if they're not dated, in my opinion. Okay, number 5. This is a big one for me. Okay, this is a big one. Always keep creating. Don't rest on your old posts. You should be always creating and pushing and blogging consistently anyway. And the guy that wrote this article, Joe, that I referenced earlier, he talked about, listen, if you don't date your posts, it takes less pressure on you to create really consistent content, and you can focus on quality rather than quantity. Well, I want to focus on quality and quantity. I want to be a relatively consistent blogger. You don't have to blog every day, but you do have to blog kind of consistently to build a following, at least like once a week, right? Or once every other week at the bare minimum, if you want people to return, if you want to build a readership, if you want to build an audience with your blog. Hey, PJ Ambrose. So I think to that end, if you want to build a readership, you need to always be thinking of things. Pressure can be good. Yes, Tara. You need to always be pushing and creating and coming up with new content. Trying to create one great evergreen post and not dating it and hoping it keeps your blog alive for years to come so you don't have to take the time to blog, to me, is the absolute wrong strategy. And that's basically the strategy that this gentleman is saying you should do. To me, you should always be creating. Keep creating. Don't rest on your old posts. If you create something that's really timeless and it's been there for a while and it continues to circulate around, great. It'll continue to circulate around, but don't rest on your laurels. Keep blogging. Consistency is key to building your following and your brand. Absolutely, Shannon. Absolutely. Which is why I don't think dating your posts is a problem. If you have a post that's 4 or 5 years old and it's no longer relevant, okay, so what? Create a new one. You should be doing that anyway. That's my point there. Okay, last point. And this is kind of like we've kind of discussed this already a little bit, but this is just an added benefit and something overall in the big picture in terms of your branding and your overall social profile. If a post is good enough and people are still sharing it years later, it gives you added clout. Like, they're going to want to find more stuff. If you wrote something 3 years ago that still resonates, if you wrote something 5 years ago that still resonates, then it's obvious that you had some foresight, that you're a thought leader, that your stuff remains relevant for years to come, and that you're worth following elsewhere. In addition to your blog, your website, your Instagram page, whatever it is, all your other social media, your whole profile, if you're writing stuff that lasts and people read stuff that's a couple years old and it's still relevant, you're going to be seen as a thought leader. You're going to be seen as somebody that had foresight. And that's going to help give you added clout and build your following everywhere you are and eventually lead clients to your business. So, listen, I think you should date your blog posts. By the way, you two were getting love on Ryan A. Bell's scope just now. Oh, nice.
Oh, he's so cute. What was he saying?
Here's Allie. I'll have to watch the replay. Awesome. Love Ryan A. Bell. Sometimes.
I said I hated him, but I really don't.
Allie doesn't really hate him.
I don't really hate him.
We love Ryan A. Bell.
We love Ryan A.
Hey,
Bell.
Creative O Photo. Okay, you got to go?
I have to go.
All right. Allie's going to go, but I'm
pretty.
going to recap, so hang on a second.
For a headshot.
Yeah, we're going to do some headshots of ourselves. She's getting a little makeup done down the hall. I'm going to recap. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right, so let's recap.
Bye.
Bye, Allie. People were agreeing y'all needed to be at the summit. Nice. Maybe that's why we're getting headshots done. Thanks, Shannon. I'll have to watch that replay. That's very cool of Ryan. Okay, and for people who are saying that on the scope, that's very cool. Okay, so let's recap, shall we? You're putting in the legwork. Thanks, Shannon. So let's recap. The point of this little scope here, this little midweek Steal Doug's idea, and once again, the reason that I did this Steal Doug's idea today is because I felt like this was kind of a tightly focused idea. If you don't blog, this might not be as universally applicable to everybody, and I already have one for Monday I think that applies to everybody here. So I just wanted to jump on and talk about this one point I wanted to make about 6 reasons you should date your blog posts. Ugh. Hang on, sorry. Okay, so let's do the little play here, and then I can... There we go. Okay, so 6 reasons you should date your blog posts. Number 1, if you want your post to be evergreen, then just make it good. Don't try to force something to be evergreen by taking the date off of it. Make it good. If it's quality, if it teaches people, if there's value in it, it'll be evergreen on its own. Number 2, and you're not fooling anyone by hiding the date. If you hide the date and people want to try and figure out when you wrote it, and then they see that there's comments on there that are 3 years old, they think there's a reason you're not secure in showing the date. That's kind of what I think. That might not be fair, but sometimes that's what I think. I'm looking to try and figure out, well, when did they write this? And then I see comments that are 3 years old. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's 3 years old. Well, it would have been nice to know that. The reason it would have been nice to know that is because I like to have context. Okay, if you're trying to build a following, give your readers context. Context helps color a topic. It helps fill in some of the gaps and helps to put the topic and the content in proper context. And it shows that you have confidence. I don't mind saying when I wrote it. It's transparent. I'm not trying to hide anything. Having no dates can make it impossible for people to curate your posts. You want your posts to be shared, right? You want them to go viral, or you want people to get some use out of them. As a curator myself, I'm curating content for the mall's page all the time for the other stores in the mall. And there's a couple of them in here that have blogs that don't have dates on them, and they're not even presented in a linear way. It makes me impossible to keep track of what I shared and what I didn't. I don't want that burden. I just want the newer stuff. I want stuff to be presented in order so I can kind of figure out if I've used it before. It makes it easier to curate. Number 5, don't rest on your laurels. Always keep creating. You should be doing that anyway. So you don't want to write a great post and then hope to rely on that to keep your blog going for 5 years. Keep creating. Don't rest on your laurels. And number 6, if a post is good enough and people are still sharing it years later, that gives you added clout. It positions you as somebody that had the foresight to write something that lasts, maybe ahead of the curve, maybe ahead of what the thought and the leading kind of opinions on that topic were. It positions you as a thought leader. It gives you added clout, and that will lead people to your other media online, your other posts on maybe, some of the social media sites, or it might even lead customers to your door, right? And that's all I got. Hey now, Superfan. So, Superfan, I just wrapped up, but it will be up on replay. Steal Doug's Ideas Gold. Thanks, Shannon. And you can follow our blog, and you can see some of our posts on our blog, which do have dates on them, at FrameableFaces.com/blog. There's a nice big blog button on the homepage, and you can find us pretty much everywhere else at FrameableFaces, just like we are here. Questions, comments, thoughts, agree, disagree. Like I said, I know this is not the consensus. Not everybody agrees with me that you should date your blog posts. I feel kind of strongly that you should, but that's my opinion. There might be some blog experts that have data and numbers that prove me otherwise. And if that's the case, then that means I have more to learn, because I'm not necessarily a blog expert. I think I'm a good blogger. No problem, Tony. You agree with me. Cool. Leona from Arts Craft Video was here earlier, and she didn't. She agreed with the other way. I don't know if and then she had to drop out. But she's got great YouTube content and a huge following on YouTube, which I don't have. So I'd be curious to discuss that with her further, at least on the YouTube, at least in the YouTube arena. Okay, you agree with me? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think I laid out a pretty strong case, but it's my opinion. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll go ahead and end this. Thanks. I hope everybody has a great day, and thanks for coming to my little midweek mini edition of Steal Doug's Idea. Take care, everybody.